you ever met someone who completely changes your perspective on life? Someone who shows up when you least expect it and reminds you of what truly matters? Today, I want to share a story like that. A story about a brilliant, yet disheartened, writer named Mr. Alistair Finch and the unexpected muse who walked into his life. A young maid named Elena. Alistair was once the toast of the literary world. His novels were celebrated, his words quoted, his name synonymous with genius. But success, as it often does, brought immense pressure. The well of his creativity had run dry, and the blank page became his greatest adversary. He retreated into his grand, dusty mansion, a prisoner of his own past triumphs, surrounded by towering stacks of books he could no longer find inspiration in. The silence of his home was deafening, broken only by the ticking of an old grandfather clock, counting the seconds of his creative drought. One rainy Tuesday, a new agency sent Elena. She was young, barely in her 20s, with bright, observant eyes that seemed to miss nothing. She was quiet and efficient, moving through the cavernous rooms with a grace that contrasted sharply with the gloom that had settled over the house. Alistair barely noticed her first. To him, she was just another part of the background, another shadow in his self-imposed exile. But Elena was different. She didn't just clean, she cared. She noticed the way Alistair would stare blankly at his typewriter for hours. The frustrated sighs, the crumpled balls of paper that littered the floor like fallen leaves. She saw a man, not of arrogance, but of deep-seated sadness. One afternoon, while dusting his study, she found a half-finished manuscript left on his desk. It was a story about a lost sailor searching for a mythical island. The prose was beautiful, but the plot was adrift, just like its protagonist. Elena, an avid reader since childhood, felt a pull towards the story. She had grown up on tales of adventure and folklore her grandmother used to tell. The next day, as she served Alistair his afternoon tea, she hesitated for a moment, then gathered her courage. "Excuse me, Mr. Finch," she said softly. "I hope you don't mind me saying, but your story about the sailor, it's wonderful. It reminds me of the old legends of Lioness." "Something," said the girl, the honest moment. Alistair looked up, surprised. It had been years since anyone had spoken to him about his work with such genuine interest. He was about to dismiss her, but something in her earnest expression stopped him. "Linus," he asked, his curiosity piqued. That was the beginning. Every day, Elena would share little things with him. While polishing silver, she'd talk about the history of the patterns, weaving tales of the artisans who crafted them. While tending to the garden, she'd point out the resilience of a wildflower pushing through a crack in the stone path, comparing it to the strength of the human spirit. She didn't offer advice on writing. Instead, she shared stories from her own life, observations from the world around them, folklore, and simple, profound truths. She told him about the village baker who knew everyone's favorite pastry by heart, a master of his own craft. She described the intricate patterns a spider wove in the corner of the library window, a daily masterpiece of engineering and patience. She spoke of the stars, not as distant balls of gas, but as characters in an eternal celestial drama. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, Alistair began to change. He started listening, truly listening. Elena's stories were not grand or epic, but they were rich with detail, with emotion, with life. She saw the extraordinary in the ordinary, a skill he had long since lost. Her perspective was a fresh spring breeze in the stale air of his study. He found himself looking forward to their brief conversations. He started noticing the things she pointed out, the way the sunlight hit the dust motes, creating a galaxy in a sunbeam, the determined chirp of a bird outside his window, the smell of rain on dry earth. The world, which had become a gray, blurry backdrop, slowly came back into sharp, vibrant focus. One morning, Alistair sat down at his typewriter. But this Jimmy, it wasn't with a sense of dread. He wasn't thinking about his legacy or his critics. He was thinking about a resilient wildflower. He was thinking about a baker who found joy in his craft. He was thinking about the lost sailor who wasn't just searching for an island, but for a reason to keep sailing. The words began to flow. "Not in a trickle, but a torrent," he wrote with a newfound passion, weaving in the textures, sounds, and simple truths Elena had shown him. His characters became more real, their struggles more poignant. His world-building became richer, filled with the kind of details that make a fantasy feel tangible. Months later, Alistair finished his novel. It was hailed as his magnum opus, a triumphant return to form. Critics praised its depth, its humanity, its breathtaking originality. During an interview, a journalist asked him, "Mr. Finch, after all these years, what was your inspiration for this masterpiece?" Alistair smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. He didn't mention ancient myths or classic literature. He simply said, "My inspiration was learning to see the world again. It was a friend who taught me that the most profound stories aren't always found in books. Sometimes they're in the pattern of a spider's web, the history of a silver spoon, or the courage of a single wildflower." He looked across the room, where Elena was arranging a vase of those very wildflowers. She caught his eye and gave a small, knowing nod. She never sought recognition, but she had given him the greatest gift of all. She had helped him find his own story again, right where it had been all along, hidden in plain sight. This story reminds us that inspiration can come from the most unexpected places and people. It's a testament to the power of observation, of genuine connection, and of seeing the magic that exists in our everyday lives. Everyone has a story, and everyone has the potential to be a muse. You just have to be willing to listen. Thank you so much for watching and for letting me share this story with you. If it resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd like this video and subscribe for more stories that warm the heart and spark the imagination. Until next time, keep your eyes open for the magic.